In this channel, I, a Japanese, will introduce Japan in English. Today, I would like to talk about kanji, the language of Japan. In fact, the ancient Japanese did not have any written language. Therefore, the Jomon period, which flourished in Japan, is not recognized as an ancient civilization because there was no writing. Across the sea was China, and the Chinese had a script called kanji, so the Japanese went there by boat and were taught the script. Kanji characters were very difficult to learn, so the Japanese invented the simpler hiragana script, and women used hiragana. As a result, the Japanese language is now made up of kanji and hiragana, and both men and women now use kanji and hiragana. As an aside, the Chinese have since begun to abbreviate difficult-to-write Chinese characters into simpler forms. This is because, unlike Japan, China does not have hiragana, which is a simple script, and only uses Chinese characters, making it very time-consuming and difficult to write. So, the Japanese use kanji that are more difficult to write than those of the Chinese who taught them. Over time, the Japanese changed the order in which the characters were written and changed the pronunciation, so now Chinese and Japanese have completely different pronunciation and grammar. Nevertheless, since the two languages originally evolved from the same language, there are many words in Chinese and Japanese that are somewhat understandable to each other. There are some very complicated characters in the Japanese language that even Japanese people cannot write. Because of these complex characters, Japanese is said to be one of the most difficult languages in the world. In fact, Japanese is only used in Japan. The Japanese language is difficult to use, but after losing World War II, the Allied forces ordered Japan to use English, but the Japanese people resolutely refused to stop using Japanese. Japanese people believe that it is important to write beautifully. We practice writing beautiful and powerful characters, believing that beautiful characters contain the soul. The Japanese language is one of the spiritual pillars of the Japanese people, and they are proud of it. Even though we lost the war, we did not lose this pride. We Japanese teach our children to write with correct posture, calmness and concentration. The history of Japan, built up by our ancestors, dwells in each of these characters. With the spread of computers, Japanese people have fewer opportunities to write letters by hand. Nevertheless, I am sure that the Japanese language will continue to live on as the pride of the Japanese people until the end of this country. Thank you for your attention. If you like, please subscribe to our channel.